Hey, Snow.
Hello, MJ.
Hey, we're back.
Back in person.
Back in person, back in the studio.
Which is also my living room.
Been an eventful couple of weeks. Queen's funeral was the other day. Did you watch any of it?
I saw some of it, and I think the part that I caught when they were on TV, they were talking about how it was gross that they had to see the child molester one, walking along with the other son.
Did you see the guy that called him out?
Yeah, I heard about. That's why I saw that part. I saw them walking, and they were showing the creep boy.
Yeah, the police jumped him, and everybody in the crowd jumped him. But he's a creep.
Mm-hmm.
But she was laid to rest, and they trotted her all over England over the course of 2 weeks, and people were going to see her body lay in state, and they would wait for 18 hours in line in the queue.
They really take
to just see the
monarchy seriously.
Yeah, I know. But I wonder what's going to happen now it's King Charles. I wonder if people still take it,
I don't know. I don't really know. I don't think they have a huge beef with him, right?
I don't think so. But you had that whole scandal where he got divorced from Diana.
He was cheating? Yeah, he was cheating on Diana.
With his much uglier ex-girlfriend.
I know.
I mean, Princess Diana was kind of hot.
She was pretty, yeah.
Messed that up. I wonder who was stepping out first. I wonder if it was him or her.
I don't know. Yeah. Wasn't their marriage kind of arranged anyways? Because I was always if he got back with his former girlfriend, why didn't he just marry her in the first place?
I don't know, because she wasn't pretty. She wasn't a fairy tale princess.
Oh, okay.
I wonder if that was it.
Huh. Well, that's kind of sad too then.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he's a super good looking guy.
No, not at all. I mean, William is kind of, meh. I mean, Harry's kind of good looking.
Harry's cute. Yeah, William's, not, he looks a lot like the dad.
Yeah. Speaking of sad stories, I had a story out of Maddock, North Dakota. A woman walks into a bar with a raccoon on her shoulder.
Is this the start of a joke? A woman walks into a bar.
It's not a joke.
Okay. And
they ask her to leave and say, you can't bring a raccoon in here.
Right. I don't think I'd want to drink with a raccoon.
Yeah. But apparently she tried around the bar so everybody could see the raccoon. Because, somebody walks into a Blackbridge with a raccoon, you'd be kind of like, that's kind of cool, a raccoon.
And why is it just sitting there all tame? Yeah.
Well, the town got word of this, and they put up a rabies declaration that everybody that was in the bar had to get tested for rabies. And even though the raccoon didn't scratch or bite anybody, they put poor Rocky the raccoon down.
Oh, all because of that lady.
Yeah,
she should have left him alone.
And they were charging her for having an illegal raccoon. And they put the raccoon down. And I guess what the story was, about 3 months prior, she found the raccoon hurt on the side of the road, and she nursed it back to health, and the raccoon became domesticated. But now poor Rocky is gone.
That is sad.
Mm-hmm. They had the water meeting the other night.
Yeah, that pamphlet I got in the mail about the water. So they sent those out.
Which is good. And I saw pictures. It had a really good turnout there. Unfortunately, I was in Flagstaff and you were up in Seattle, so we didn't get to attend. We didn't do our civic duty this week because we had other obligations. But do you want to know, because they had a call to public and people got up and stated what their thoughts on it. Do you know what the farmers said?
Huh.
And this is true. That by them using the water table to have the farms and they'll grow trees, the trees will make the area more humid, reduce wind, and it will bring more rain.
Huh?
I swear to God, that's what was said.
But have you seen the size of their trees? They're not even that big.
I know.
I'm like, what? No, dude. Like,
and we both work out there. You see the dust storms that go on out there.
Yeah, the trees constantly look dead to me. They don't even look like they don't even look like they would produce any nuts or anything. But
Right. And they spend a lot of money for the wells out there, and like so many of them are already going dry.
Well, they don't care either because they're in it for money, so they don't give a shit. That's all they can see.
Right. And wasn't this again? This is more than just a rumor. This is kind of a fact that those farms out there were started by somebody that couldn't get a business license. I think in Golden Valley.
Mm-hmm, so the roads guy.
Yeah. So he bought property out there to just fuck the Kingman water supply.
Now that's the farms that specifically just are growing alfalfa, because alfalfa will use a ton of water. Yeah, he purposely did that because they wouldn't allow him to build his homes.
Unbelievable.
So it's like, I don't get what I want, I'm going to fuck things.
Yeah.
That's the attitude.
The future of...
That's the attitude. Unfortunately, that's a lot of people's attitudes, about more issues than just water. I don't get my way, I'm going to fuck it up for everyone else.
Right. Circle back to the Queen for Queen's funeral. Joe Biden attended that, and he was in the 14th row. And of course, the former president had to get up and say, well, if I was still president, it wouldn't be a national disgrace to be in the 14th row. I would be in the front row where we belong because America is the best. He doesn't realize that the first few rows are reserved for the royal family.
No shit. How fucking stupid.
And Biden chose to sit behind the president of Poland because of everything that's going on in Ukraine.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, dumb shit. They wouldn't have let you sit in the front row. They would have told you to move your orange ass. Probably you can be outside and maybe listen over speakers. You probably wouldn't even want him in the building.
Yeah, I wonder if they would have invited him. Speaking about him for just a minute, he went on Sean Hannity, I guess, last night to give an interview, and he has another theory of why they raided Mar-a-Lago. And this is because...
Let's hear it.
He said the FBI thought that he had Hillary's deleted emails. And that was the classified documents. So the FBI really wasn't after him. They were after Hillary's emails.
Now hearing him come up with that, I'm surprised he didn't try to use that dumbass excuse earlier, aren't you? Like, what took him so long?
Yeah, but you got to keep on...
That hamster wheel goes really slow up there.
You've got to keep on... Because every time you come up with a theory and it gets debunked, you have to come up with something else. Who writes this shit for him?
What I want to know about this whole thing is, like, he keeps opening his big fat mouth. Where are his handlers to, like, slather some Big Macs and ketchup and just go shove them in his mouth? Like, you would think his lawyers would want to do that. Like, shut up. Stop talking.
Well,
Stop.
Yeah, but he goes on Truth Social and he just types his stuff, even though he hasn't paid the bills for the people that have designed Truth Social for him.
Right? Because he's not about paying workers. But it's like, I'm surprised that he has gotten away with as much as he has gotten away with when he opens that big fat fucking trap of his. I'm like, you're your own worst enemy. Just shut up.
Yeah, but how come all of his followers are like the girl in 50 First Dates? Like, wakes up in the morning... Hey, I'm Donald Trump.
Forgets everything.
I'm Donald Trump. I'm your president, and this is why they raided it.
I'm the greatest. Don't believe a word they're saying about me.
And then they wake up the next day, and it's another excuse. They totally forget about what the excuse was the day before of why he got raided. The FBI planted the evidence. Now they were looking for Hillary's emails. He did declassified.
Because we both know we've tried talking to these people. These aren't. I don't think they have a lot of cognitive skills. That's why they're easily manipulated too.
What was Drew Barrymore's problem in 51st Dates? Why did she lose her memory every day?
Didn't she have an accident or something? Where she hit her head or something like that?
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. I have the movie, too. But...
So I went up to Flagstaff, and it, rained for, 3 days straight. Well, 2 days straight up there, which was nice, but couldn't really see the mountains at all. But the temperature was great.
Yeah, it's getting nice here, too.
I'd like this remote job that now I can start to travel and go around and do different shit, work from wherever. But I think I stayed in a haunted house. I was staying in this house, and apparently this maybe 10, 20 years ago, this little kid got hit out front of this house. And my friend saying she would sometimes see shadows and stuff sometimes would get knocked off the wall. And I didn't really see anything, but the person I was hanging out with wasn't feeling good. The first day, she had asthma, she couldn't breathe, and then I get up there, and I'm start hacking. Next night, she had insomnia, and then I couldn't sleep either, due to no fault of hers. But then I had insomnia too.
Maybe it's Flagstaff's Amityville Horror House.
Yeah. Third day, she has a migraine. I wake up with a killer headache. I'm like, what's going on here? Or what kind of vibes is she giving off that I'm feeling everything?
Maybe you should run. Just kidding. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I just met this person. Boy, if I could talk, though. But that was fun. I enjoyed
If these walls could talk.
I enjoy Flagstaff. I've never really spent more than a half hour at a time there.
Oh, yeah, Flagstaff's rad. Yeah. I like it there. Really pretty.
And so you were up in Seattle.
I was in Seattle.
Okay, what were you up there for?
I was there I got invited to go by my union, the Teamsters Union, to go to the Women's Teamsters Conference.
How was that?
It was awesome. So our new general president, Sean O'Brien, he just won the election a few months ago. Can't remember exactly what month, but he came and talked to us, spoke to us about, different things with the union. He was at we had a reception party. It was a themed party, 70s themed party. So we went and got our picture taken with him right when I went over there. So he's from Boston. And right when I went over there. Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. And then, right when I went over there to talk to him, he was because for my costume, I just wore some, Elton John type glasses and then a Queen shirt.
Wait, it was a costume party?
Yeah, you could dress in 70s clothes.
Okay.
It was 70s themed.
70s themed.
So, yeah, so right when I walk up, he's like, great shirt. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And then I go, oh, hey, I wanted to tell you, when I got to meet you, I wanted to tell you that I went to Boston in March to go to the Dropkick Murphys St. Patty's Day show. And he's like, oh, Ken Casey's my boy. And I'm like, oh, cool. And he goes, no, hold on a second. I'll even show you. And so he pulls out his phone and he opens it up and he goes through his contacts. Shows me the phone. It says Ken Casey and has his phone number. I'm like, that is so awesome.
Did you have photogenic memory so you could remember the phone number?
I almost wanted to go, do you mind if I take my phone out and do a screenshot?
So you saw his number?
No, I did not.
No, you should have done that.
I know.
Because we could have called up Ken and had him on the podcast to talk about...
I know, but I didn't want to get my union president in trouble. He'd be like, what are you doing giving crazy... people my phone number.
I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago, but the audio didn't turn out good, so we'll try it again. And this is what Ken Casey said at a state fair a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and before you play it real quick, because he's like, did you see what Ken did lately I'm like, yeah, the Labor Day show. I'm like, that was sweet. I'm like, I quoted what he said at the end. Yeah. I will fight you outside.
Here it is.
We were laughing.
Give it a second to pull up here.
Union for working class people who are allowed to build a better life in the middle class in America. You fucking listen to us. Because if you're out there buying those fucking hats sorry, kids. I know there's kids here.
They
Then you're part of the problem.
hear
I'll
that
tell you
language
why.
at home.
'Cause you're being duped by the greatest swindler in the history of the world. You're being duped by a bunch of grifters and billionaires who don't give a shit about you or your family.
It's true.
They care about their fucking tax breaks and the money they can put in their pocket. If you consider yourself a patriot and you're spouting off that election denying shit, I will fight your asshole side if you want to.
I will
Wake
fight.
the fuck up! We're working class people! These people are the fucking rich, the billionaires, and they don't give a shit!
It's
Thank
true.
you for listening.
Everything he said there is true. All of it's true. And then, so you want to hear the coolest thing that happened at the conference?
Yeah.
He was like, what we're going to do is we need to show our presence. So Amazon, their headquarters are here. What we're doing, they brought out the 2 of our big ass Teamster semis. The one from, I think the one from DC and the one from Pennsylvania, right? I can't remember the local numbers that were on them. But so those big ass semis we drove around the block. We started from where our convention was. We marched to chant, organize Amazon. And then what was the other thing we did? Fee, fi, fo, bum. Bezos is a fucking bum. And then we were like chanting like Teamster stuff to tell him, because he's like, before you go and do something, you need to give your intent on what you're going to do. And we intend on organizing at Amazon. So we're going to give him a message right now.
Really?
It was so awesome. Yeah. I was like, yes.
What else did they talk about there?
Well, there was a lot of great seminars. You could sign up for, they do 3 seminars, each of the 2 days. Tuesday and Wednesday. I could only go to 1 seminar the second day because I had to get back to the airport to fly home, but I went to 3 different ones the first day. They were all cool because I was really looking forward to going to the one about the political process, as far as like what has to do with unions and whatnot. And they discussed some of the new like Build Back Better bills and whatnot. And, yeah, so she had us go around and introduce ourselves and what state and local we're from. And so when I told her, my name, my local from Arizona, she goes, oh, Kristen Cinema. She's like, we'll be talking about her a little bit later. I'm like, oh, don't even get me started on her. Don't even get me started. So, yeah, they did bring up about those 2, So that was cool. And then they had another cool workshop about like women throughout history and the stuff that they've invented, things that women had actually invented. Yeah. Like the first invention of like a Murphy bed was invented by a woman, an African-American woman back in the day, because women got, like the single women had to live in these really smaller housing things. So it would take up a lot of space. So she had this thing that was a desk that could fold out into a bed so it wouldn't take up so much space in this limited space that she had. It was saying how a woman had invented chocolate chips. There was a woman that had invented the double churner ice cream maker. I'm like, these are all important things, man. Yeah, and there's lists of, anyone could check it out, like all the things that women invented. Of course, they touched on how it was a woman who actually invented Monopoly, and then Parker Brothers stole that from her. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You've never seen like those specials talking about Monopoly? No. And Monopoly was actually invented. The game was supposed to teach how when you have monopolies, that's a bad thing because only one person ends up the winner. It was actually a game to teach how it's better to have socialism, because then everybody benefits versus only one person benefiting.
But so in our sicko society, like Gordon Gekko said, greed is good, and it turned out
greed is good. Yeah, stuff. Well, and that's what the whole greed is good is also if you really think about it, like basically the fucking Reagan agenda, the Reagan mantra, you know, like government isn't the solution, it's the problem, you know. They're not here to help you, blah, blah, blah. It's like all those things are used as tactics to like, believe us, we'll take care of you. We're going to, but secretly, they're the ones fucking people over more than anyone else. I mean, don't worry, it's a trickle-down economy. The money will get to you eventually. No, those are all lies.
But they fall for it every single time.
I know.
But that's
like,
that's
how do you keep falling for it?
But that's the 51st date syndrome, that you wake up the next day, one day, and you forget all about everything that came in the past. And
and then I got to tell you another thing that happened at the convention. So we're in there. I took the workshop on how to deal with difficult people, which I knew was going to be a popular one. And they put us in this tiny room. I'm like, why didn't they put this one in one of the bigger rooms? The room was packed, so packed they had to open the doors to let air ventilate in there. Anyways, these two ladies sat down next to me who were bus drivers out of Massachusetts. Not in the same local, like, because I'm like, oh, what's your local number? And it was 600 something. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought Boston was like 25. And they're like, well, we're more, I think she said they're more like south of Boston, where their area is. And she's like
Quincy.
No, they didn't say where. But so I was telling that lady, I go, oh my gosh, I love Boston. I just went there, blah, blah, blah. Went to the Dropkick Murphy show. And they're like, oh yeah. Because everybody from Boston knows about that show, right?
Yep.
It's like a thing. It's a tradition.
No, it's a big deal.
Right.
I mean, you can drop.
Right.
We'll just say Dropkick Murphys is great wherever you see them, but there's something special about seeing them in Boston. It's a totally.
Well, that's what
show.
I said. I'm like, that's why I was telling my mom I don't need to see them anywhere else, But so, the lady was like, I told her too. I go, oh yeah. I go, and like the next day when I went to the USS Constitution, Elizabeth Warren was there. And she's like, oh, cool. So you were kind of starstruck then. And I'm like, I love Elizabeth Warren. And the lady next to her goes, if I would have seen her there, I would have pushed her overboard. And then the other lady goes, well, she goes, I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to like her because of the union and all, but I don't. And I'm like thinking, I wanted to so ask her, but the thing wasn't starting. But I wanted to go, what is it that you don't like about her? What has she done wrong? Like, please tell me. Because it's always just, oh, I hate that person. Because the other lady goes, well, I'm sorry. I like her. She goes, do you know how much student debt I had? The fact that they actually released that, this woman's telling me she is in her 70s. She took out a loan to go to school, a $15,000 loan several years ago. That loan grew to like over $70,000. So she's like, it's going to cut a huge chunk out of she's like, this is why I'm still working at 70 because I got to pay off these debts.
At 70-year-old, she's still paying off student debt.
Yeah.
She
wasn't the one complaining though.
But when did she go to college?
I forget, she didn't tell me the year, but she went a long time ago. But she said the way that they have the loans set up, she goes, the interest is so heavy. And I go, yes. I go, I agree with you. And I'm like, that's a problem too with the loans. They need to, it's good that they're eliminating debt for folks, but what they need to do is they need to also stop the predatory lending. I'm like, I have a friend too who took out student loan debts. You shouldn't have to pay 10% interest. That's more than a home mortgage for a student loan debt. That's ridiculous. And of course, if you had a student loan debt, you're trying to pay rent, you're trying to get a car, you're trying to pay your car, pay for a car, you're trying to pay for food, you're trying to do all this. Then if you have kids on top of that, blah, 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 whatever your circumstances are, it probably comes down to, okay, they've only been paying the bare minimum. So that interest has been accruing and accruing and accruing over the years on the loan. But she had said that hers is going to get almost all wiped out, what she has left on it. Because she doesn't have $70,000 obviously left on it. But so hers is going to be pretty much almost done with this.
Again, I mean, that's something that we've discussed before about, many times, but, we have no problem giving bailouts to Ford back in 2008.
All those PPP loans, like
PPP
Marjorie's
loans.
Trailer Green got one for 180 something, interest free, don't have to pay them back.
Yeah, or
free money.
Or back in the housing crash of, around 2008, and all the banks got bailed out because the economy was about to collapse.
Yeah, I know. And then people get more mad. It's like folks get more mad when average Americans actually do get a bailout. It pisses some of them off because they're like, where's mine? Where's mine? Where's my free money?
Yeah.
It's like, you're doing fine. You don't need it.
That's the way society is. And you did also run into somebody because, I guess after the first night you texted me and said, yeah, hey, I've met some cool people here. But one person pissed you off because she was one of those Bernie or bust.
Well, because it's like, well, it does irritate me. It's like, well, you're what helped us get Donald Trump, though. I mean, because she was like, yes, I agree with her politics. I like her politics. But she was like, no, when it came down to it in the 2016 election, I was not going to vote for Hillary. So I wrote in Bernie Sanders' name. And I'm like, okay, look, I give a little leeway. What you guys don't understand is you're right in for Bernie. You actually voted for Trump in doing so. Now, however, people in blue states, to be fair, because I had a friend who got yelled at for it, who lives in Washington State, and his friends railed on him. You writing in Bernie is what got us, then you actually voted for Trump. And I'm like, not in his state. His non-Bernie vote went to Hillary. It actually still went to Hillary. He could do that because his state was going to go blue anyways. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't have done it because, I'm like, all right, we've got to defeat this orange beast. We've got to defeat the orange monster in any way possible. And I also didn't do it because Bernie Sanders said that Bernie Sanders cast his vote for Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And he lives in he lives in a state that went Hillary, right? Vermont did.
Yeah. And if you're a Bernie supporter, if Bernie tells you this is
our best option, guys.
Yeah. This
is what you should do.
That's the way you vote.
Then why didn't you listen to him? Right?
I mean, that's what came down to it. I mean, that's what I didn't want to vote for Hillary, but that's.
I didn't either.
Well, Bernie told me to.
That's what I told her. I go, well, what I told her was, well, I voted for Hillary when it came down to it. In the primaries, I voted for Bernie, obviously. But when it came down to it, I voted Hillary. I held my nose and did it. I'm like, it wasn't easy. It took me 3 days to write that name in before I could mail in my ballot. Or check that box. Excuse me. You didn't really have to write a name in.
Yeah. So, anything else about the conference you want to talk about before we move on?
No, it was a good time.
Yeah, we covered everything. Clear up a couple things from last week before we wrap up. We were talking about Little Mermaid last week, and I said her name was Halle Berry. It's actually Halle Bailey. Halle Bailey is the actress that is playing the new Little Mermaid. But our friend Brett Terhune had something to say about that.
Good.
Do you want to hear what he had to say?
Of course I do.
All right. Need to get Brett on this podcast, too. I should have done it when I was in Indiana, because he's from Indiana.
I know.
But here it is.
I just seen on Fox News that they want to make the Little Mermaid black. What on flat Earth is going on, huh? Walt Disney would be rolling over in his grave if they hadn't have frozen his ass. They're going to have to rename all them dwarfs, because not only am I grumpy, I'm downright mad. I'm livid. I'm irate, irked, miffed. I'm pissed off. Because you just can't go changing the stuff we made up. These myths are sacred. going to stop with the crustaceans, are they? No. What's next, huh? It's not going to end there. What are they going to make Winnie the Pooh put on pants before he catches allegations? Are they going to make Wally switch over from a Mac to a PC? They're going to make Goofy stop owning Pluto because owning people is wrong? You know, the way they sexualize children nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised if they let Quentin Tarantino remake Cinderella on account of the foot fetish he's got. Just you watch. And what's my white daughter gonna think watching all this, huh? She'll be sitting there thinking, I guess I'll never grow up to be a mermaid because I'm not black. That's not what I want for my daughter. I don't want her growing up in a world thinking she can't lure sailors into rocks just because the color of her skin. You people never think about representation, do you? No, we don't. You don't. You don't. So today I'm raising my emotional support beer to Disney. Because you're going to need it after this boycott. I already boycotted your ass once, but I'm re-boycotting your...
Lure sailors into rocks.
Oh, Brett, you come on the podcast. Hey, don't do that. All right, so I guess we'll wrap this up. September we have this last week or so.
Yeah, damn near. I think we have some days next week though of September still.
Okay, and just to correct, we always give out the suicide prevention hotline number,
right?
But now Biden did this a few months ago, and we didn't realize it last week when we were recording. Now you can just dial 988.
Oh, okay.
And reach the suicide prevention hotline. Okay, so if you're in
That's
crisis,
good. Less numbers.
Yeah, 988.
So it's kind of like 911, but 88 instead.
Yeah, 988. And we'll wrap up with one more thing loose end from last week. I was talking about the Imagine Dragons show. And great. Always great. And Dan Reynolds is always great. And he's very open about his going to therapy and his own mental health and, trying to tell the audience that you're all special and he wants to keep you around. And this was from Las Vegas on September 10th. If I can pull this audio up. See if this works.
Okay, I understood that part. I didn't understand the stuff at the beginning.
Well, it's a stadium, so...
Right.
Yeah, so, that's always an emotional part of the Imagine Dragons shows for me. But I think mental health and suicide prevention is something that should be addressed all the time. And it shouldn't just be 1 month that we are thinking about it. And that's one thing topic that we always bring up on this podcast. Because we have very few listeners and we need all you around.
Right? Hang in there.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
Not really.
Yeah.
I haven't really been too talky lately. Like, I've been doing a lot more listening lately, and I'm like, boy, you can really learn a lot about people if you just take the time to listen to them. Sometimes it makes you want to run from certain people. Right. You're like, okay, I think I've heard all I need to know from you.
I mean, yeah, it's like
A couple of coworkers.
That's what my dad always told me. Best advice he ever gave me: listen with giraffe ears, not hyena ears. Giraffe ears are open, and you're just listening to what's going on. Hyena ears, like a certain party, not ears are back. You don't listen to anything else. Hillary's emails.
I know. Yeah, when you
like
listen to people, though, when you listen to people like that, though, you realize how shitty they are, too. And you're kind of like, I'll just keep my distance from you. I'll deal with you only when I need to. It's kind of like, but always listen to them, because there's like, isn't it like, know keep your friends close, but your enemies closer,
And
so you should know what they're...
And that goes with day-to-day relationships, too, because I was having conversations, recently with somebody, and, and she was very down on herself and, about circumstances that are not necessarily her fault. And, I'm like, come on, this isn't your fault. You should be, hey, just face it. Made a mistake in the past, whatever, move on, look towards the future, don't look back, trying to giraffe ears and listening to what they're saying. And, and I think she was kind of like listening through the hyena ears, where not really anything I said was sinking in.
Listening and observing. Like when I was at the conference, there was a couple times when I was a little irritated with the behavior of some of the women there, because it was like, you're rude. I mean, you're rude. Like they would, there was a couple of events where they offered free food, and there was just like, some of the people I'm like, there's no way you can be that hungry. There's no way that you're that starving. We all get paid very well. We have good jobs because we have good union jobs. First off, I wasn't even trying to get food, but I was apparently in someone's way. And I was just like, I'm trying to get out of the way because it's crowded. And it's like, they wanted their food and they wanted it now. And you're just kind of like, it's kind of gross.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed, like an office party, like say on a Friday and the company gets pizzas, there's two types of people.
Oh, God.
You'll have the one person who goes up and loads their plate with like 4 or 5, 6 slices.
Yeah.
And then you'll have the one person that goes up, they'll get a slice. Maybe they'll go up and get a second one after they're finished. But then, like, well, no, I want to leave some for everybody else. And God, I've heard stories about...
I
don't know if you...
There were some women walking away from the table with 2 or 3 platefuls of food. I mean, they'd have them stacked up. I don't know if they were all for them, but like... And it's like, it's almost like you couldn't... They just like kept walking, and I'm like, I'm trying to get out of your way. I am trying to. And they've got food like shoved in their mouth while they're walking with these plates, and you're just like... Dude, you're not that... There's no way you're that hungry. Yeah. Calm down.
Were you the one telling me... I forget who I was talking to, but they were doing this... I think it was in Phoenix. I forgot who was telling me this. But there was some community thing come in, and they would bring donuts like every week and stuff like that. And there'd be ladies there who would just grab a box of donuts, hand it to their kid, and the kid would walk off and put it in the car and take it home.
We had people who did that at a strike one time. She was there to collect donuts, and then as part-timers, you only had to strike for 3 hours anyway. Or not 3 hours. It was, the full-timers were 3 hours, but the part-timers, I think you had to strike for an hour and a half or something. And it's like, you're only here for, and then you're just going to, it's just, they just think that they're entitled, I guess.
And I guess that kind of goes to the whole problem with our society as a whole, is you have two different people. You have the people who take all the donuts, and you have the people that just take their one donut and leave the rest to everybody else.
I was damn near close to, with them acting that rude, I was damn near saying, look, I realize I might be in your way, but you are welcome to have my serving too, because us ladies are going out for seafood anyways. So go ahead. You can have my stuff. Just don't push me out of the way. It's rude. I mean, you can have my 6 slices of pizza.
I don't know. I mean, if we learn anything from this podcast, is greed is good, right?
Yeah, it was just...
It's the American way.
Mind-blowing, right?
Well, anyway, I guess that we will wrap up this podcast on that note, because I think I'm going to go watch the second half of the football game. Snow is up by 2 games now. 2 weeks into the season. I think you were 12-4, what? And I was 11-5.
But you're still counting your one game that you didn't put in quick enough?
Yes.
You're adding that? Okay. Yeah, because yours will always be a +1 for the entire season.
You know, and the funny thing about that is, like, I know my football, and I, like, go through, and I know who's injured. You know, I know this player from this team, not just Patriots. Like, I follow all the teams.
You do all that.
And you're just like...
I do dumb luck.
You know, and
I do what I feel. I'm like, I think this team will win.
You know, and you're like, I like Tigers better than Bears, so I might go with the Tigers. You know,
or I like their uniforms are a whole lot better than these guys' uniforms. I'm gonna go with the.
Right.
But if you think about it, anyways, every single game, everyone has a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, but.
My goal is to one time get every single game right. How cool would that be to get a perfect score?
I've been, the best I've ever done is 1 wrong. So I haven't had the perfect week yet.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm only two games behind, and we'll keep this rolling all year long and through the playoffs on our picks.
Yeah.
And we have
it'll be fun.
Case of beer on the line at the end of it.
Right, yeah. We've got a lot riding on this.
Yeah. Who did you pick tonight with the Browns or the Steelers?
I believe I picked the Browns.
Ooh, so I went with the Steelers because I didn't think they would go 0-3. But then I was second guessing it, but I didn't change it.
I picked the Steelers because didn't they...
Well, they
lost a lot of people, right?
Yeah. We lost Big Ben because he retired.
Yeah, I knew they lost Ben, but I was like, I went with the Browns because I like the spirit of the Browns anyways. I kind of like them when remember when I was like, that was the real Super Bowl, the year that they had to open up all the beer things and give out beer to people because they finally... Yeah,
after a year and like 2 or 3 games.
That was awesome.
But they got rid of Baker Mayfield, and they traded for that dirtbag from fucking Houston, who's now suspended for half a year because of all the allegations of sexual abuse against other women.
Oh, crap.
Deshaun Watson.
I thought he got cleared of that. Wasn't he the one with the massage parlors?
He didn't formally get charged with anything, but... According to the NFL conduct rules, he still got suspended for 8 games. So they're using a backup quarterback for the first 8 games.
Oh,
which they should have signed Colin Kaepernick. And Dallas Cowboys, if you're listening, because Dak Prescott's out for half a year, sign Colin Kaepernick. Give him a shot.
Do you think the Cowboys would actually do that?
No, Jerry Jones definitely wouldn't do that.
Definitely not a Texas team. No. Will not do that. They need to go with a more liberal town to sign him.
If you haven't watched the Colin Kaepernick thing on Netflix,
no, I'm gonna have to. I just started the Jeffrey Dahmer one, and boy, is it creepy.
I need to watch.
It's from the maker of American Horror Story.
God, so much to watch, so little time, and I need to finish watching Elvis. I'm about 2/3 of the way through. And
so you didn't watch the whole thing?
No, I've gotten up to the point where he was about to leave Colonel Tom Parker, and he did the comeback special, and the Colonel was taking credit for that. Mm-hmm. I got a little bit beyond that.
You'll have to watch it. Because I was 2 when Elvis died, so I didn't know much about Elvis this whole time. I didn't know anything other than he was the king of rock and roll. I've been to Graceland, but his story reminds me a lot of Marilyn Monroe's story. People who were exploited. He was exploited.
Yeah, and
taken advantage of.
The actor that plays Elvis is really great. Spot on. Spot looks just like him. And Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker.
The whole time I'm watching and Tom Hanks is doing his thing, I was thinking of the Mar episode where I'm like, I don't know why Tom Hanks didn't turn down the role then and say, but I've never actually been a German Nazi, so I don't know how I could play this role. Remember when he was making fun of him? Because he's like, if I could do it all over again, I would go back in time and I would not have played the leading role in Philadelphia. And then Bill Maher made a joke, well, you're not also mentally challenged. Should you not have played Forrest Gump then? And that's the thing that gets me. That gets me too. I have said that for years. I'm like, but they're acting. That is to show you're not supposed to be exactly what the person is. Isn't that the point of acting? Pretending to be someone else, doing another role. I'm like, and aren't actors always against getting typecast? If you just do what you are, wouldn't you be typecast then? I can only do roles as a, right, whatever.
Right. I mean, and Tom Hanks wasn't a cross-dresser either. I mean, that was his first role.
Yeah, they did make the bosom buddies joke too. Yeah. It's just stupid. People need to lighten up with regards to that.
Back to Elvis, because my mom was a big Elvis fan. I remember the day he died because I remember walking in on my mom and she was crying and the news was on the radio. And, I was 7, 8 years old at the time. Mm-hmm. But I remember that day. And I remember a few years before when Elvis was doing some television special live. And I remember... This was the fat Elvis time where he was, on this little stage sweating profusely, having scarves, but the women, all screaming,
throwing their panties up on
and
stage.
He's still gyrating. I remember watching this with my mom, and Mom would go, "What do you think?" And I'm just, being a little kid, I was sort of embarrassed. I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, not quite knowing what was going on." And I was just kind of like, "Yeah." And the one thing that struck me about watching that movie and when Elvis first came out and he was on TV and he was, doing the gyrations and stuff is how far we've come. Because, I mean, that was only, 70 years ago. And how society has changed in that 70 years. And even... during the racial stuff that was going on during that movie. Don't want to ruin it for anybody. Please watch it. It's on HBO right now. It's a great movie. What struck me was how people would speak, how the politicians would speak about certain people. I'm like going, it's not that long ago. This happened 5 years before I was born. And one of the saddest parts of the movie up so far was when he was doing the comeback special in '68 and he was filming it and they stopped the production on it because they got the word that Robert Kennedy had been shot. Mm-hmm. And Elvis thought he should make a statement about it. And the Colonel Tom Parker said, no, sing the Christmas song instead. Mm-hmm. That kind of got to me. But then when he came out and did the protest song at the end of the special, just really good. And then the Colonel tried to take credit for it, of course.
He tried to take credit for everything.
Yeah. So Elvis on HBO, please watch it. And
you know what? Have you ever been to Graceland?
No, I need to.
The thing.
Now that I have this job, I am gonna go see our friend PETA, and out in Memphis, and I'm gonna go to the museum.
The thing I don't like about Graceland is they don't have anything about Elvis when Elvis got put on weight and they have it where you only remember him like that. And I'm like, This part was a part of his life, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like all the jumpsuits. They have his
Yeah.
jumpsuits in
Well,
there, and they're
and-
all the skinny ones. They don't have any of his.
Sort of my favorite Elvis era, and since we're going to continue on Elvis, is the 70s Elvis, like Suspicious Minds in the Ghetto. I mean, I think that was some of his best stuff
Yeah.
from that era. And some of the gospel stuff he was doing towards the end. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to get out to Memphis, spend a few days out there, go to Graceland. You know,
Go to the best museum ever.
Best museum
National
ever.
Civil Rights Museum
National Civil
at
Rights
the Lorraine
Museum.
Motel.
Yep, have some.
Make sure you get there early.
barbecue with Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have
That's
to
an
go.
all-day affair.
I'll have to go. Maybe spend 2 working days, and catch some nightlife with PETA, and then spend 1 entire day.
Make sure
at
you
the
go
Rights
to-
Museum.
Make sure you go to Beale Street. Spelled the same way
Yeah.
as Kingman's Beale Street.
Right.
Make sure you go to Beale Street. They've got a lot of cool partying on there, and you got to watch the flippers, the famous flippers.
Yeah.
These guys they're amazing. They do flips down the entire road. Like we're talking like 17, 18 flips in a row. They're awesome.
And do they still have like the blues bars up and
Yeah.
down that and stuff like that? And that was another thing. I didn't know. I didn't realize like Elvis used to hang out with B.B. King and Little Richard.
Yeah, and all the food there is fantastic. You gotta, yeah. Oh, and if you go to, you have to go to. You have to tell PETA, if you're listening, you have to take him to the Peabody, Memphis. You have to go when they do the ducks. The ducks go. They bring the ducks. The ducks live on top of the hotel.
I think we've talked about this before.
And they put them in the elevator, and they have like a red carpet. They come down, they play in the fountains all day, and then at the end of the day, they get them out, and they do their little ceremony where they quack and walk up, back on the elevator, and back up to bedtime.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about PETA, I guess we should give a shout out to Bootsy's Delta Funk. And I don't know about you, but I need his new supply of everything.
Always the greatest sauces. I know. I need to get my butt down to west of 3rd.
West 3rd.
And stock up.
Supply. And PETA, where's our t-shirts? I mean, we plug this. We don't ask for money, but we want those Bootsy's Delta Funk t-shirts.
Yeah. I'll take a tank top.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll wrap up on that, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Okay.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.